before, my wife Harriet and I lived in Los Angeles, and we were coming up on our 10-year anniversary in the City of Angels when we decided we needed a break from 1-hour, one-way commutes, lots and lots of smog, and the workaday grind of the big city. So it became incumbent upon me to find a vacation that would take us as far physically and mentally and spiritually from Los Angeles as possible. So it became my mission to find an uncharted part of the world where we could go and spend 3 weeks away from it all. We decided we'd go to the Himalayas, and in particular we wanted to visit northern India and Sikkim. And the people that I was working with also suggested we go to a tiny Himalayan country by the name of Bhutan. In 1994, Bhutan issued only 5,000 visas to foreigners, and we got 2 of them. It was a fabulous trip, to say the least. The country of Bhutan is about the size of Illinois. It's landlocked completely, bordered on 3 sides by India and on the 4th by China. And the 650,000 people or so are very warm and hospitable, and the scenery is just tremendous, as you might expect in the Himalayan foothills. The highlight of our visit to Bhutan, most singularly, was a day trip that we took where we hiked on a very narrow footpath up to a monastery that was built in the 17th century. This monastery is named Taksan. It stands for Tiger's Nest. It's built into a sheer rock-faced cliff and is at about 10,000 feet. And we started our hike at about 7,000 feet. Needless to say, it took us most of the morning to get up, and we were met and entertained with tea by the monks that stayed there, and it was a very special, incredible experience. I'd like to share with you a very short fiction piece that I wrote just this year. It is in fact fiction, but it is inspired by our visit to Taksan, the Tiger's Nest. And the name of the piece, which was published this winter, both online and in a print journal by the name of Bold Men's Fiction, the piece is entitled They're Next. So I'd like to share that piece with you. They're next. In the past 36 hours, the handful of grainy dust and ash in the moss-colored urn had been through 3 continents, 6 airport screenings, and countless train cars before it became the object of prolonged discussion at its last border crossing. Despite the language barrier, he convinced the guard at the Himalayan border town of Jaigan that letting him and the urn into the village of Phuentsholing would in no way jeopardize the national security of their tiny Bhutanese democracy. Purpose ate at him, burning hot for weeks since she had gone. He had promised he would return with her when the time came, but his intention was to fulfill that promise by preceding her in death. Now, he was a courier of sorts, the round and nondescript orb, a silent and lightweight escort in his rucksack. Neither of them was Buddhist, but what they had realized in this valley so very many years ago had never left, and they wished they had never left either. Their final transport was a rusted and tired Range Rover. He sat in the back seat as it climbed higher and higher into the capital city of Paro, a shot suspension amplifying each rut and pothole. They had once both been supplicants to this pitching and lurching of this very road. If you could call it that, she had said with a smile. He knew the lid was secure, but he held the rucksack tight against his side regardless. He hated it that she couldn't see it again. The prayer flags flying from every outcropping, the vistas of blooming poppies she had made their driver stop so many times for. The terrain now brought him no comfort. He took in the view with jaded eyes, buried memories under grinding gears. The car downshifting, his driver cursing the washed out parts of the road. On nearly every switchback, small children would wave as he passed, but his hand stayed always against his side. Each pass yielded more waterfalls and even rarer animals, thick horns of woolly tar peeking over the boulders, Daphne pheasants nearly iridescent in rainbows of greens and blues. He dropped his dusty and threadbare knapsack at the tea house and with her in hand started the climb at 7,000 feet. It would be 3,000 more to reach the tiger's nest, the venerated monastery of Taksan. 4 hours later, he was drenched in sweat, his shirt pasted in a thick mass to his back, and a wicked chafe where his griefs cut into his thighs. The climb had been arduous the first time. Now it bordered on cruel. Due to horseflies and wasps, he stopped only a few seconds at a time for water from his canteen and to tell her small things. What he saw, where she was. The base of the monastery before him, he let her go into a warm updraft, and she cascaded out and up, never falling, as she rode the tiger into her next. His heart bursting, he would cry only later, for her and for himself, on his way back to where he had come from. He was on to his next too. Thank you very much.